Another Fox News alert to tell you about, because Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel on Capitol Hill today facing tough questions about President Obama's plan to fight ISIS in Syria, and of course the mixed messages about boots on the ground.
The first thing he says is no boots on the ground, and then makes an announcement of sending more boots. I think that's confusing to the American people.
The chairman of the Armed Services Committee then going on to sketch out the current strategy against ISIS, saying the administration needs to do a better job explaining the president's plan to try and get Americans on board.
Not only are your points right, I think, and I think the president agrees with what you've said, but most of the points are centerpieces and pillars of his strategy.
Meantime, 3 generals and a former Secretary of Defense coming out to say it's a big mistake to take combat troops off the table. Armed Services Committee Chair Buck McKeon, who you just saw, is now my live guest. Great to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Gretchen. Thank you.
All right, so you said exactly what I just said in my take about 20 minutes ago in discussing this issue. The American public is darn confused, right?
Well, I think so. There's a lot of things to be confused about.
Well, did you get any more clarification today in your questions to Chuck Hagel?
Not really. I was trying to get him to pass on to the president that it just doesn't sound right when whenever he talks about going into action, the first thing he says is we're not going to have any boots on the ground. And then I'd like to announce that we're sending 400 more troops to Iraq, or you know, whatever he has to go on to announce. I just think, first of all, it's not good strategy to tell the enemy what you're going to do. So I don't think you should start out by ever taking any options off the table. Keep them thinking, keep them guessing. We shouldn't pre-let them know anything that we're planning.
Yeah, well, but not only that, Congressman, is it also being disingenuous for the president to tell the American people, yeah, we're going to decimate ISIS, but then deep down know possibly that he really doesn't believe in that?
Well, that's the real concern I have. I gave a speech last week and then a Q&A, and what I said is, you know, this president is probably going to go down in history as one of the weakest presidents we've had. He has a chance to resuscitate his presidency on this issue alone. I've traveled around the world. I just got back from the Middle East, went to the Pacific. Our allies, whenever they come here to visit, and when I go there to visit, they want to know, where's America? Are you going to be there? Are you going to do the things you say you're going to do? Right. Are you going to follow through?
Well, and that makes it tough.
We haven't shown that.
It does make it tough. That's yet another point to talk about, because I would assume that it makes it tough to get allies on board when the strategy keeps changing.
Well, they don't know if they can believe us, and they're playing life and death. We're kind of in a bubble here, but over there, it's very important to them. I mean, you know, they cannot say they're going to do something because it gets turned against them. In Afghanistan, the Taliban go around telling people, look, they're going to be gone, and we're going to be here, and we'll cut your heads off. So those people are afraid to side with us, and that's the problem we have in all of these things, and that's where this president has let down. But what I was saying is he could be focused on this issue and not take off doing something else. And he hasn't been able to show that he can stick to something. So he gave this speech last week, and then earlier this week he was off to Georgia to send 3,000 troops to Africa to fight Ebola.
Correct. And
spend more money on that than on the effort that he had just said he was going to decimate and wipe out the ISIL threat.
That's a fourth good point. Here's a fifth one. We have a Khorasan now, this new offshoot of Al-Qaeda that we're learning about now today. So, you know, this threat is not going away. In fact, it's multiplying.
No, I think it's going to be a campaign issue for the next presidential election, because this is going to go for years. And we need somebody that's going to be resolute, that's going to be able to lay out a strategy and then stick to it.
All right.
Or lay out a strategy, get the advice of the military people, and then let them do it.
Okay.
And then what I suggested also in that hearing today is that he ought to give periodic reports, and I think it should be more often than not.
Yep.
But we've been
Reports to
in
Congress
Afghanistan
and reports to the American public, and maybe more than just a big speech here and there. I got to wrap it up there,
No,
Congressman.
that's
Thank
what
you
I
so
mean.
much. Thank you so much for your
You
time,
betcha.
sir.